I'm just looking at the schedule and our time.
Yeah.
How are we doing?
Scott. So we're doing good in time. So next up we have it's supposed to be last minute change of schedules. Now it's me, Scott. He's with Tetra Tech. He's a project manager and a GIS analyst number 4. So is he's gonna talk to us about a little more about this topic about changing careers and what does it look like to not have a traditional go from college right into a career role, because he had some military experience and then jumped into GIS. So here's Scott. Yeah.
So I was supposed to speak before lunch on and piggyback off of Emily's presentation. And what I wanted to talk about, and let me back up to about Tetra Tech. Tetra Tech is a large business. We have 25,000 employees, 550 offices worldwide. Tetra Tech is very horizontal, not very vertical. Just sitting as a project manager under my supervisor and boss, I'm only like four to five levels from the CEO. So we're a very shallow company, and we do a lot of things. My particular area within Tetra Tech is asset management. That's facility condition assessments, utilities, condition assessments. We're doing reality capture for facilities, as I mentioned earlier today. And as I have grown in 13 years with Tetra Tech, originally he's currently our regional vice president of our operating group. And when he hired me, the reason I got hired was because of my military background. I knew how to go sit in that full-time and bucket and seat at Cheyenne Mountain and be able to do GIS work for them because I understood the organization, because I've worked in it almost my entire career, and I understood the organization. And yes, I got hired as a young GIS analyst over a lot of people that were probably more qualified, but they didn't have that experience that I had that led to me getting hired and my success. What I really want to focus on is, as a project manager and being part of the hiring process for people who were coming to work for Tetra Tech, and for me, is when you apply for a job and you're looking at that job description, particularly what I have experienced is right at the top, because we do a lot of federal work and we deal with controlled unclassified information, is we say you must be a U.S. citizen. That is a requirement for contracts. And you must be able to pass a background check. So in our pre-screening, when I'm looking at resumes and our requisition, if you've marked no to either one of those, you're automatically thrown out. I have a lot of foreigners or
Foreign nationals?
foreign nationals that apply for the jobs, and it's no to the U.S. citizen. I'm having to kick them right out, which is sad. But for me, it's a waste. I shouldn't say it's waste, but it is wasting my time, because I'm having to look at you and the system, and then within a minute, go, you're out. So my point is, if they have certain requirements, make sure you hit those primary requirements that they're asking for, and not wasting that hiring manager or HR's time. I mean, at any one time, I have 10 to 12 projects I'm working on and or managing, my team's managing, and I don't have that time to dedicate to looking at those is my point. Couple other things. Recently we had a requisition out, and out of 50 people who applied, 10% was automatically thrown out because they were foreign national. A couple others were thrown out because they marked no, they couldn't pass a background check. Out of the remaining, probably about 50% didn't even post a resume. I'm automatically throwing you out. Why am I going to waste my time reading over? If you did include a cover letter or you included a lot of information within our system to apply for the job, I'm not going to look at you because I need to see that resume. So and I'm pretty sure the requisition said must submit a resume. So if you didn't, I'm not going to look at you. A lot of times when I'm reviewing resumes, how well did you hit those points in our requisition? Sometimes I have part 107 for drone pilot. If you're not a drone pilot, then it's a requirement for the position. If you don't have it, I'm not going to consider you. So, those primary requirements you need to hit as best as you can, or show that you have experience, or even I would consider it even if you said you're working on getting your part 107. I know that we can help you do that. So that would, show something that you're either interested in doing it or you have it. Some other requirements, looking at scripting, enterprise, Arc Enterprise, if you have experience. Some of that stuff's maybe listed. Maybe a requirement, maybe a preference. So again, look at that description, try to fit your resume as best you can to it. And even if you don't meet all of it, if you're that well-rounded individual, you have a willingness to learn, you're keeping up with technology because it is always changing. I learn every day with this career field. And that's my message and what I think is important when you're applying for a job. So that's really all I had, and I'll take questions.
Have you found soft skills to be really important for yourself or for other candidates or people who are employees of yours?
When you say soft
I'm
skills,
thinking people skills.
people skills, yeah. Yeah, case in point, person we hired, first time out on the job, we're doing some LiDAR scanning, and the individual went, well, this is not how NavVis says to do this. Well, our subject matter expert is there, and he has tried and proved processes. So that's what we follow. And it was that interpersonal skill that this is how it says to do it. And if he just said, hey, NavVis says to do it this way, it's the way he presented it. And it was a turnoff to the whole team. So yeah, interpersonal skills are huge. When we go out to collect data, whether it's utility data or LiDAR or whatever project we're working on, it's a team. For example, next week we will be going out to the field. I personally won't, but we have 5 two-person teams going out to locate the utilities up in Montana for the Minuteman missile, how they're connected from Maelstrom out to those missile silos. And it's part of the Sentinel program where they'll be replacing that cable or putting in a new cable beside it. So you've got to be able to work with your team, especially if you're small 2-person team. Sometimes we have a 20-person team out doing a utility locate on a large installation. So you've got to be able to work with other people. If you can't work with other people, it doesn't work out. And the individual that did that I referred to earlier, he no longer works with us. It was an immediate turn off and for a lot of people, and over the course of a year, other things came up and we let him go. He wasn't a team player. So yeah, it's really important.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Connie, because I don't think that's something that gets discussed enough in professional space.
Yeah.
And a lot of today's been about resume building and cover letter building and how do you get to that interview. But once you're in a position, how do you advance in your career? And I don't think there's enough guidance. And then this isn't just geospatial. This is any career, but it's be somebody that people want to work with.
Yeah. 100% agree.
Know how to manage up.
Yeah.
As well as down and across.
What do you mean by manage up?
I mean, make your managers look good.
Yeah.
Do what you can. I'm not talking about being a yes man and or woman and sucking up to leadership. I'm talking about be a valuable employee, over communicate, be present in person, participate in social events. Be somebody that is present and has a smile on your face and have a can-do attitude, and that's how you advance in your career.
Yeah.
That's how you get those positive references.
It is. So yeah, you hit on a couple of things. So I'll share a old military story. So I was deployed to Kuwait. We're actually on an army installation, and it's called the mayor's cell. And so we were part of that headquarters for that base or installation. And I was the highest ranking enlisted member for civil engineering. So I was the superintendent. And our deputy commander was also a CE officer, major. And he would come in our office and he'd say, come to me and say, I need this. Well, the young lieutenant spoke up one day and said, sir, I'm in charge of this organization. Why aren't you telling me what you need? And he says, he knows what he's doing. You need to learn from him. And that's always been our mantra. Take that young lieutenant, and they should know this, get with the senior NCO and learn from them, because we have the field experience. We know what we've been doing. We've been doing it for years. Learn from us. So it's not always about the degree, it's about your experience.
I found that same thing to be the case, not only within the military, but also in the utilities organization. It's the field operators that often know and have that experience on how things work than many of the executives in the office may. And so I think it's not only wise to get to know everyone on the team and what they contribute, but be humble in that regard. Especially if you're in a responsibility of power, authority, or if people are looking at you to be a leader, it's important for you to be learning from others, probably even more so.
Yeah. And another thing that I've always done, regardless of whether it's military or working for Tetra Tech, is someone always knows something you don't. Use those experts to help you and move forward and get the job done. So, one thing, sitting down at Cheyenne Mountain in that full-time See, never saw my boss. Except if I stopped by the office on the way home or something. Or he needed me to stop by. But what I did was every week I would send him an email. Here's the status of what I did all week, and here's the status of what the client wants and where I'm at, and percentage wise. How far am I into it? When do I expect to be finished? Something came up, here's why it didn't get done, because they wanted something else done sooner. So always keeping your boss and that communication line open is huge.
So it sounds like a combination of both self-management and communication of self-management.
Yeah. Yeah.
It also sounds like a very, do your work, but also keep others in the loop, also team perspective, and not it's just me, it's we as a team are going to accomplish this.
Yeah, we run in that when we're in the field.
Yeah, and just kind of forgetting about the ego side of it a little bit, and focusing on the big picture.
And that's key with go back to the Sentinel program. So we have 5 separate teams out doing different parcels of real estate, because we are all going to, they're all going to be on different parcels that we have permission to be on to get that tracked out. So they have to communicate with themselves every day where they're at, where they're going, and so forth. So yeah, team communications even between separate team leads is huge.
I just want to emphasize too that the can-do
Yeah.
attitude. In you may know, like, somebody comes to you with a request, and you're thinking to yourself, well, that's just not possible, given the current state of things. But it's all in the response. I think, it's a let's talk about how we can do that, and here are some things we need to consider, as opposed to I don't think that's going to work.
And I've had that happen too. Again, young lieutenant.
Yeah.
We're going to do it this way. And I was like, well, sir, you really need to consider this, this, and this. And I highly suggest that we do it this way. Nope. I have a degree. We're going to do it this way. Okay. I'm going to let you fail. And sure enough, we go out. It doesn't work. Commander chews him out. He comes to chew me out. I put my hand up. I'm like, nope. I tried to tell you. I let you fail. And here's why. People who have experience in the field know a lot, and you need to learn to listen. So me and my NCOs and airmen can either make you or break you. It's your choice.
So is it pretty typical, you're talking about these people putting in applications? It sounds like not moving forward, if nothing else, just because they didn't follow the basic directions.
How am I supposed to evaluate you if you really don't put that resume out there?
Yeah, no, what I was getting at is that pretty typical, like of the number of people that put an application out there, like how many people fail simply because they didn't give you a resume, or they wasted their own time as well by doing all this work, and they weren't a citizen and didn't realize that, like, you have to be a citizen.
Well, when the first bullet of that job description says you must be a U.S. citizen, they should have stopped right there.
Well, of course. I mean, my point is like how many of the people that apply, how many people fit into that boat? And the reason why I say that is because, and I've had to just dismiss this, but like I'll look at LinkedIn and it'll be like 100 people clicked this, whatever, and I realize, like, clicking something doesn't mean you even applied. But when I hear what you're talking about, it gives me some encouragement, because it makes me realize, like, there's a significant number of people that are applying for jobs that, whether they're qualified or not, they're not even
paying attention.
They're not even doing the basic, they don't even fit.
Yeah, I think part of that is they have, a, for lack of a better term, a bot. And so as soon as something gets advertised and it's close, that bot puts their information in.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem. Just my personal opinion. But yeah, I do look at resumes. I look at them very closely. I do spend that time. And I basically, as I go through, I'm like, this person's really highly qualified and I want to interview them. And then I have some that are, if none of these work out, here's my next set of candidates to interview and so forth. So I kind of give a rating and kind of put them in a 3-tier system. Ones that I don't want to consider, or they don't have the skill set for this particular position, but we know we're going to be hiring for something else in a few months. I'll keep that resume and I'll even contact a bunch of people and say, thanks for applying. Hopefully you'll be getting an email. If you're in my top tier, you should be getting a notice for an interview within a week or so. Whenever we get them set up. Others, I may say, we're potentially looking at you. And then others, it's just like, no, we're not, you didn't qualify, but I've kept your resume on file for future. And then contact them and say, hey, this position's open, I think you're fit. So I do that.
I think it's great, kind, it's mindful, and I think we often miss the opportunity to hire people that we've already met
Yeah.
when they're not necessarily looking for a job. We can use those resources to find those good people and ask them if they're interested.
Yeah. Another point that just came to mind that I didn't even speak of. There was a point that I applied for a government position at Peterson Air Force Base as a GIS analyst. That individual who did the interviews, first time I applied, he asked me, did I want any feedback from my interview? I was like, yeah, I want that feedback. I got feedback. I was number 5 out of 6 candidates. I was like, really? I finished that poorly. And I took that to heart and really worked on my interview skills and so forth. And the position came open again 18 months to 2.5 years later. And I applied for it again. And there were like 8 candidates, but I was number 2. And I was like, okay, I'm getting somewhere. I'm interviewing better. My skills have developed. I felt really good about it. Well, that position came open again. And I told, he is a friend. And I just said, as a veteran, you can direct hire me as a 30-point candidate. So unless you're going to direct hire me, I'm not applying. And I didn't. So, that's just some food for thought, get that feedback if they offer it. You'll be amazed what you get out of that feedback.
It's hard to get, but maybe you get it over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
Maybe when they're in a different position and you're in a different position, you can find out then.
Or even if they don't offer it, even in your interview, say, do you mind giving me feedback on the interview? There's no harm. What's the worst they're going to say? No. But if they say yes, you may gain a lot of insight on how you did, how well you qualified.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or
Yeah,
comments?
nobody on the side got a question?
Anyone online?
Samir, Vanessa,
Pipe up.
Crystal's even still on,
Please pipe up.
but it might be good also for us to take a break because we haven't taken a
Yeah,
break.
so if you want to take 5-10 minutes and we'll get back. I know Jennifer Phillips, our next speaker, she's recovering from a head cold, so she's being remote.
Okay.
So And I've heard that she doesn't sound it herself, so.
But it's interesting that she's talking about keeping a job, and we've been segueing into that subject anyway. So I think that's pretty exciting.
Yes, we'll take like just do,
Yeah,
So did that
5
help?
minutes.
yeah, no, that helped a lot. I think, that was, it's good information to have, because a lot of times when you're applying for work, it's kind of opaque,
Yeah,
you know.
I think that's where it
Going
helps in the
behind the
cover
scenes.
letter saying, I may not meet all the